I love it so much, so that when I felt it, it's even tighter and denser. The fit is excellent because I always have excellent fit in my designs because it's so cute and I'm enjoying it so much. And this color is beautiful and it's so me. So I'm gonna do another summer top. Hi, my name is Maya and welcome to episode 73 of my knitting podcast, where I share all my thoughts, process and other random stuff about all things fiber related, but mostly knitting. Today is the 11th of March 2026 and I'm coming to you from the French-speaking part of Switzerland, where I live with my gecko. I have a ton of stuff to tell you about today. As usual, I have 2 finished objects, 3 works in progress, 2 acquisitions. One of them is already cast on, and the other one is a big update regarding something I have already finished, a design that's already in testing, but there has been some drama, so yeah, but I'm gonna talk about that at the end. But before I start, I did a giveaway a few episodes ago, and the winners still haven't contacted me, so if this is you, please send me an email at the email address that's somewhere and also written down below to claim your free pattern. And if I don't get an answer from those people by the next podcast or the next video, I'm gonna redraw winners under this video so that I have more chance to draw people that are actively watching and not people that just watched and commented on one video and never came back, which I think is what's happening. So yeah, if this is you, please contact me. Congratulations, you won a free pattern of mine. Okay, with that out of the way, we can start with what I'm wearing, which is my first finished object as well. And this is a bit risque, I know, but it's not as if I had anything to hide. So yeah, it's a design of mine, and I'm gonna finally tell you the name of the pattern because I left you on a cliffhanger on the last video because I just forgot to tell what it was. So the name is the 30s top. So let me do a little catwalk or something to show you what it looks like. So it's an open front kind of top vest thing, and it has, it doesn't have a v-neck on the back, I don't know how you say that, and it's knit entirely in boucle, and it's 100% silk, so it has a beautiful drape, and it has this big ribbon closure on the front, and I'm not going to show you how I closed it because it's going to open up, and as you can see, I don't have anything underneath. The yarn I used is 100% silk, as I mentioned, and it's Boucle Seide by Seiden Atelier. I think I can show you the tag actually. Wait. I mean, tag is a little bit overstatement because it's just a piece of paper that I got with the yarn when I bought it, and it's a sport weight, 150 meters per 50 grams, so that's 300 meters per 100 grams. And I used 150 grams for this, and I just had a little nugget left, so I used kind of everything. And it's not exactly what I wanted. So I'm gonna tell you about why it's called the 30s vest at the end. No, 30s top. I went back and forth with the name between top and vest, but this is definitely meant to be worn as a top, so I went with top. Anyway, I will talk about the name later. But first about the fit and the characteristics of this design, because it doesn't look very groundbreaking, I know. The idea is that I simply wanted to do like a summer top with an open front, because they are very trendy, and I think it's the first time I do something because it's trendy. I don't usually do that, but they are just so cute, and I just wanted one. And I do what I want, so I just did it. And the characteristics of this one is that you work the edges as you go, so you don't have to pick up stitches afterwards to add a trimming, and it's made with double knitting. And usually when you work double knitting at the same time as you do stockinette, you have gauge issues, but I found a way to make it work. So you have very clean edges that don't roll, and they look very polished, and you don't have to pick up anything afterwards. The yarn also helps because it's 100% silk, so it just doesn't curl at all. But I have swatched with more less silky yarns, less drapey yarns, and it doesn't curl either, so we should be good with that. So that's the first characteristic, and the second one is just that the fit is excellent, because I always have excellent fit in my designs, if I may say so myself. That is size inclusive, because not all those super trendy, cute tops with the little ties or ribbons to close the front are size inclusive at all. And there is a big ribbon on the front here to close it. It's not just the cute I-cord things, it's a big, more in-your-face finish, I would say. And this one is just knit flat with increases and decreases. So it does roll a little bit on itself, but I like it. I think it's cute. But I am definitely gonna include, I have included in the pattern instructions to make it double knit so that it's thick and it doesn't roll on itself at all, and it's even more in your face. And then you can make it as long as you want if you want to maybe do a bow or something to close it. Mine is a little bit too small for that, but you get the idea. So the main goal was to make something chic but cute and modern, but also a bit classic. And it's designed to have zero ease, because what I wanted is that if you lean forward, which I'm not gonna do, the neckline, the V-neck, stays in place so that you don't flash people whenever you are not standing upright. But with my sample, so I am using 100% silk again, and when I blocked my swatches, and I did okay size swatches, I didn't do the teeny tiny things like this, I did okay size. They didn't really grow much, like a tiny bit, but really not that much. So I figured maybe it's because it's bouclé that the thread kind of stuck onto itself, and that's why it didn't really move. And it was a pain to knit with and almost impossible to unravel. And probably I didn't even need it to weave in any ends because the yarn was just not getting anywhere. It was just staying in place. So I figured it's not gonna move too much with blocking, since the swatch didn't. But it did. So this thing is too big. I have actually quite a bit of positive ease. Also the front is open, but yeah, it's definitely too wide. So if I pinch the extra fabric and I lean forward, it's flashing a little bit less, but also it does because there's the mic and it's heavy and it's pulling on it. But yeah, it's supposed to be less revealing. The row gauge also stretched out quite a bit because it's not supposed to be this low, but now it is. It's just not what I had in mind. So I was already planning to make another sample, but I'm definitely gonna have to make another one with a fit that's a bit closer from what I had in mind, and that's also a bit easier to wear. And there's also something else that went wrong, is that I messed up a little bit when I did the calculations for the fronts, and they are a little bit too narrow. I wanted them to be a bit, just a bit wider, just to cover a little bit more. So yeah, quite a lot of changes to do on the second sample. However, this one is still helpful because you don't have to follow the ease recommendations of the pattern, and if you don't want to knit this with zero ease, so it's like -5 centimeters to +5 centimeters of ease, because if you have a little bit of negative ease and a little bit of positive ease, it's still going to fit you the same as if you have zero ease. So there is a little bit of a range. But if you want to have less negative ease to make like a fitted top, you absolutely can. And if you want to make it positive ease, which is what I have here, you absolutely can as well. And you can wear it like over something, like over a t-shirt or over a camisole or I don't know what. And it's not going to be this deep because the final pattern is graded better than this one. I usually knit up my sample, like I do the calculations for my sample, and then I write the pattern at the same time as I knit. And then once my sample is blocked and finished, I do some corrections to the numbers I used, and then I grade all the sizes. So if the first sample goes wrong, usually I unravel it, but with this yarn it wasn't possible. I just cannot unravel. Like, nope. So yeah, I just had to deal with it, and I can't really go back and fix it. So that's why it is how it is. But yeah, in the final pattern, in the second version, it's not going to be as risky as this, but it's still super cute, and I still really, really like it. I mean, yeah, I think you get the vibe. It's adorable. Regarding the name, so the 30s top and not the 30s vest. Yeah, it's kind of a long story. So at first, when I talked about the first idea I had in mind to make this design, I showed a picture of a real, like a store-bought garment that I saw online, and it had kind of this bow in the front, and it had a deep V-neck. And someone commented telling me that those types of big ribbon on women's clothes, I mean, not necessarily women, but they are more usually found on women's clothes, but yeah, you can put them wherever you want. They are usually called pussy bow. So they are usually found on blouses, so it's like a pussy blouse or a pussy bow blouse. And the name is super cute, and I really liked it. However, there's the whole pussy hat thing, and it's very heavy with connotations, and it's very politically involved, and I absolutely didn't want to lean into that because, I mean, this is very important, and it's a fight that's worth talking about and fighting for, but this is not what it is. I just don't want to pretend like I'm designing this to support a cause. There's just nothing to do between this and the whole pussy hat story there was a few years ago. Plus, well, a pussy is a pussy. So it was kind of connoted to start with. So I figured I couldn't really use this word. So I tried to find another word that could refer to this detail in the front without using this particular word. So I figured maybe just a bow, like the bow top or the bow vest, that could be cute. So I did my mandatory research to see if maybe bow would mean something in slang that I don't know about. Lo and behold, it means female genitalia. And it's not the first time this happens, because last year, when I designed the shady hoodie, at first the name ID was like Flappy Hoodie, until someone pointed out that flaps, or flappy in general, just refers to female genitalia as well. And I'm like, why does every single word in English refer to female genitalia at some point? So yeah, I couldn't go with bow top either. So I tried to find a different approach, and I tried to look up when did the pussy bow thing appear. They're also called lavalière in French, which is a beautiful word, but it's kind of difficult to read if you do not speak French. So I figured it was just maybe a bit too much to call it like the lavalière top. I guess if you don't speak French, it's more like yeah, no. So I tried to look up when did lavalière bows and pussy bows in general appear in the fashion. So it was a long, long time ago, but they started being really on trend and really like a piece of the women's like everyday fashion in the 30s. And I did some research, and I did find a lot of, like, whenever I was looking up 30s women fashion, there kind of always was this kind of big bow either at the end of a v-neck or around a round neck in some form or another. So it definitely was something very important in those years. I know nothing about fashion industry in the past. It's definitely not my, I mean, I don't have a historical approach to fashion at all, but it's pretty clear to me that this is definitely something that's important in this era in particular. And I am in my 30s. So I didn't need anything more, and I just called it the 30s vest. No, not the 30s vest, the 30s top, because it's cute, it's kind of catchy, and I just like it. So that's why it's called that way. So that's the story about this one. And the pattern is currently with my tech editor, and the test call would be mid-April, I think. Hopefully I can show you a better version of the design by then, because I think I'm not really selling it very well like this. Yeah, and I hope you will enjoy this episode with a absolutely plunging view on the absence of action on my bust. Okay, let's talk about my other finished object, which is this thing, and this is a headband. It's a stockinette stitch, like the most basic headband ever. I didn't even use a pattern. It's knit in the round, so it's double-sided. And I used leftovers from a hat I knit for Mr. Tinks, my boyfriend. And I had a lot of leftovers, so I figured, oh, I'm just going to make a headband. So I did. And I still have leftovers. So the idea is that I can wear it more like this, or I have a really huge forehead. Or maybe like this to hide my forehead. Because when I go climb outside, I always have the tiny little hair here around my forehead that just come out of the ponytail or the bun or whatever I have up here, and they just come into my face whenever I'm climbing. And when I'm climbing, my hands are on the wall. I'm hanging on them, so I can't just let go of the wall and replace my hair. So I like to climb with a headband, but all the headbands I have are really bulky and warm, because that's what I want from a headband usually. So I figured I needed to make a smaller one so that I can wear it when it's not that hot, but I just don't want to have hair in my face. And now I really look like one of those girls doing aerobics or whatever in the TV spots of the 80s. So maybe it's the 80s headband. But yeah, anyway, you get the idea. So I just did that. There is really nothing special about this. I just wanted to use up leftovers. And I did. Oh no, there was some drama because I first cast it on 2.75 millimeters because I did the hat on 2.75 millimeter needles. But the hat was ribbing. So it made sense to use a dense gauge with small needles. But this is Stockinette. It's definitely not necessary to use such small needles. But I was kind of on a roll and I just didn't want it to think, so I was just knitting, and I made it, I think, halfway through, and I was like, it's too thick. So I unraveled everything. And another drama that happened is before I realized the needle size was too small, I had also made it to halfway through, and I was slipping one stitch at each edge here, just to have a nice detail on the edges. But when you do this, you slip on one round and then you knit on the other round, which means you have to keep track of what round you are on, because you need to do something every other round. Impossible. I just cannot do that. So every time I made it to one side, I had to look, do I need to slip or do I need to knit? And it's kind of difficult to say, not that straightforward. So I had to look like very intensely and then, oh, okay, I need to slip one. So I slip the stitch and then I go to the other side and I make it to the other side and I again have to look because I don't remember what I just did, because I just go on autopilot when it's just Stockinette. No way I can remember what I'm doing from one round to the other. So I have to look again and I'm like, oh yeah, slip one. And then I slip the stitch, go back to the other side and I have to look again. It was a pain. I hated the process. I really hated it. And I find myself not wanting to knit on this, even though I love knitting socks and I love Stockinette and I just love, just mindless knitting. But this one, I just didn't want it to work on it. This never happens to me. So after a few weeks of making only this much progress on such an easy project, I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. So I unraveled everything and then I started over with just Stockinette. And it went so fast, so I made it really fast until the same point, and then I was like, the gauge is too tight. So I unraveled everything, and I cast on again on bigger needles, and I finished it in like 3 days. Even though it stayed on needle for 3 weeks, because it had the slip stitches detail that I hated. So yeah, this time it's finished, and I have this much left, and I'm gonna put that in my blanket, I think. I hope I can make a square with that, and I'm gonna show you the blanket right after this, so keep this in mind. And that's it for the finished object. So now I can talk to you about my work in progress. It's up here. I just showed this in the February stash update video, so I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but it's a laundry basket. Not yet, obviously. So the goal for this was to do a felted laundry basket to put my knitwear, my dirty knitwear into, because I don't want to mix regular laundry with knitwear laundry because I'm too scared to have an accident. So I wanted to knit something and felt it. I wanted the gauge to be really tight so that when I felt it, it's even tighter and denser so that it stays upright. So I'm using 10 millimeters needles, which are US 15, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm using, so the gray is Drops Snow held double, and those two are the wool by We Are Knitters, which is like a super extra bulky yarn. It's like 40 meters per 100 grams. It's massive. So yeah, the gauge is pretty tight. And I ran out of yarn. I've used everything I have. I have actually unraveled 2 projects to reclaim this yarn, and this was just something that was left in stash for years, so I'm very happy to have used them up. But I thought I would have enough to make the complete thing, but I absolutely do not. So in the stash update video, I asked if anybody had some lonely balls of We Are Knitters the wool, because it's a pretty popular yarn, but it kind of went out of trend, I guess. So a lot of people are left with like single balls and don't know what to do with them. So I was like, if you have some and are okay to sell them to me, then I will buy them happily. And someone reached out and they had 3 balls in gray, and they said they would give them to me and I just had to pay for shipping, which is very, very generous of her. So I said yes, and she's gonna send them this week. So now the thing is, they're gonna be gray, and I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be the same gray as what's inside here. So my thought is, I might unravel the orange stripe and then add like, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 rounds in this. So I think I'm gonna have like 2 or 3 rounds of color, no, 4 rounds of color between each gray stripe, so that I have kind of a stripy motif, because if I just put the 3 balls of gray after this, it's not gonna be pretty. And even if it's a laundry basket, I want it to be pretty, kind of. So yeah, I'm gonna try to find something without having to unravel everything to do cuter stripes. But yeah, this is on pause for now. And I think it takes me like 3 minutes to do 1 round, and 1 round is 20 grams. So even if I have 3 balls and they are 200-gram balls each, yeah, it's gonna be pretty fast. But also it hurts because the gauge is tight and the yarn is huge. So yeah, hopefully this is gonna be finished soon, and I cannot wait to have a cute laundry basket with felted yarn that's gonna be 2 kilo. No, I think 1 kilo, but still, it's gonna be super heavy, but it's gonna be super cute. So I'm excited. So that's it for this one, and now I can talk about the interesting projects because up until now they were not really interesting. So I have cast on a pattern that's not one of my patterns, and that's not self-drafted. Who am I? And it's something that had been in my knitting plans for as long as I've been doing videos about my knitting plans. So 1.5 years, I think. So this is, you may recognize it, or maybe not. It's the Mixed Rib Cami by Florence Miller. And I'm so happy to have finally started this because it's so cute and I'm enjoying it so much. Like, I love knitting this pattern so much. I don't mind twisted stitches, either knit or purl, so I don't mind. I just love knitting. I don't care what I'm doing. Except if I have to slip stitches every other row, because I cannot keep track. But yeah, this is not an issue for me. So the yarn I'm using is Woolberry Fiber Company, Berry Natural, which is a fingering weight, non-spore wash, 100% merino yarn. It's very, very soft. It's one of my favorite yarns. Unfortunately, Woolberry is going out of business, but it's okay. I'm gonna survive. And I'm finally using up this yarn, which is one of my favorite colors because I have so many skeins in this color. I'm just obsessed. So I'm gonna have another top in this colorway, which is Frost. Did I say that? Yeah, Frost. And I have 2 skeins. And I'm like halfway, a bit more than halfway through this one. So I think I can finish like the front, joining around and do a little bit of the body, and then I'm gonna have to break into the second skein. But that's what I had in mind, so it's fine. And then I still have the I-cord edges to do on the arms and on the neckline. Regarding the sizing, I do my usual weird modifications. I'm knitting size 4 for the back and size 2 for the front. For this one it's pretty easy because the straps are the same for all the sizes. So I just had to cast on the number of stitches for size 2. And for the underarm shaping, that's when it gets a little bit tricky. So I knit until the length of size 4 on the back, because I want the back to be a bit longer as well, not just a little bit wider. So I don't remember the exact numbers, but basically, let's say the underarm shaping for size 4 is like, I don't know, 12 rows of shaping. And since you increase only on the right side, that's 24 rows. But I don't want to increase that many stitches because I still want to have the bust circumference of size 2, because that's my bust circumference. So what I do is that I use the increase instructions for size 1 or 2, like something in between, and I cast on less stitches at the underarms as well. But since I'm not doing the full 24 rows of shaping for size 4, I need to do a little bit more straight before I start the smaller shaping I want to do. I hope this makes sense. And then I match this modification on the front, except I do not add the extra rows because I don't want the front to be as long as the back, because that's how my body is shaped. However, I wasn't exactly sure of how first the yarn was going to behave with this stitch pattern and how deep I wanted it. So I just cut the yarn before I started the shaping, and I went ahead and started the front. I'm going to do the shaping on the front, and then I'm going to try it on and see if I'm happy with the length on the back. And if I am, I'm going to do the shaping and join it around. And if it's still too short or too long, I can adjust without having to unravel all the shaping. So this is how it's going, and I'm really enjoying it. It feels like really fingering weight on 3mm needles is just my happy place. It's just what I prefer. It just makes me happy. Every time I like go into a stitch and catch the yarn and come out, I'm like, oh, I love this motion. I just love the thin needles. I don't know, it just makes me happy. So this is going very slowly, but also fast because I'm obsessed. But I'm happy because it just means I have a very portable project that's gonna take ages, which is extremely practical. And then I also cast on another summer top because apparently it's the season of summer top. Summer knitting is my favorite, by the way. I mean, you could kind of get that if I told you that fingering weight on 3mm is my favorite. And this time it's a design of mine because this is a muscle tank. Not very obvious, I know. But yeah, it's I already have two of those. I have one in fingering weight and one DK weight because the pattern comes with 2 gauges. And this one is the DK weight. I wear the fingering weight all the time, and I just wanted another one. And the reason I use the DK weight, even though I told you I prefer fingering weight, is because I'm gonna give a workshop at my local yarn shop to teach how to knit your first top or summer top or vest or however you want to wear this. And we're gonna do the DK weight pattern because it's gonna go so much faster for the new knitters. I mean, people are expected to know how to knit, increase, all of that. But yeah, if it's your first garment, maybe do not start with a fingering weight yarn. So I'm doing the DK weight. And I'm using the yarn that's going to be included when you buy the workshop at my local yarn shop, which is Drops Bell. And I've always wanted to try it, so I was like, might as well try it now. And this color is beautiful. And it's so me. I'm so happy about it. It's the colorway 17. I don't know the colorway name. And I think I started this 2 days ago. It's going so fast because it's on big needles. And I had to unravel because. So this yarn, by the way, this is an acquisition. I bought this last week. So this is classified as DK weight, and it's suggested at a 21 stitch gauge on 4mm. I didn't read the 4mm part. I just saw, oh, 21 stitches. Okay, perfect, because that's the gauge of the DK version of the muscle tank. And then I used the needle that's recommended in the pattern, that I recommended, which is 4.5. So I cast on with 4.5. And I hated the process. I really, like, the yarn was feeling weird. I had to fight to get the stitches on my needles from the, like, when they are on the cable and I wanted to push them on needles. I really had to fight the yarn because I didn't want it to go on the needle. And I just couldn't get the needles inside the stitches, and the fabric felt weird and it was kind of gapey and I just didn't like it. And I finished the shaping on the back, so you cast on all the stitches and then you do short rows to shape the slope here on the back neck and on the shoulders. And I finished all the shaping and I looked at my fabric and I was like, this is not 21 stitches. And I measured and it wasn't. It was too big. It was like 20 stitches or something, even 19. And I could kind of feel it, that the fabric wasn't what I wanted and the gauge I wanted, which is why I was knitting so tight, because I was trying to compensate the gauge being too loose, which is why I couldn't push the stitches on the needles because the gauge was super tight. So I ripped everything back and I read the tag and I was like, oh, it says 4mm, not 4.5. So I started over with 4mm and it's a dream to work with and I love it so much. It's like, I really enjoy it. I love the yarn, I love the experience, I love the fabric, I love everything. And just because I changed the needle, which is pretty funny to me. And I know some people, even some designers, will suggest you knit Drops Bell at like 17 stitches, and I just don't get it. Why would you do that? It's so perfect at 21 stitch gauge. I don't know. I guess there's a little bit of everything for everyone. We don't all have to love the same things, but I like tight gauges and I like firm fabrics. but it's not firm. I mean, it still has a beautiful drip. So yeah, I'm hitting gauge. It's beautiful. I like it. And I just finished the one front shoulder. I'm gonna do the other one, and then I'm gonna cast on for the front neck, join everything. And I'm doing the same thing on the back for the before the underarm shaping. So I'm doing the underarm shaping between size 2 and 3, or maybe just size 2, but I need straight a little bit longer to compensate for the fact that I'm not doing as many increases as size 4 on the back. But since this is a design I know very well because I have 2 of them, and also because I designed it, I know how much depth I want in the armhole in this case. So I just did the underarm shaping and I cut the yarn before starting the front. Alright, that's all for my smaller works in progress. Now let me talk to you about the bigger one, which is ta-da! It's like fully in frame. Yes, it's covering the whole frame. I love it so much. This is my sweat shop blanket. I did a lot of progress. I love it so much. It's so me. It makes me so happy. And I'm still enjoying every single stitch I do on this. I just want to ditch everything and knit only on this, but I also love my other projects, so I don't do it. But I really like it. So this is a long-term project. I started this during Vlogmas last Christmas season, Advent season. And I think last time I showed you, so I'm working in stripes, this direction. And last time I showed you, I had finished the first, so maybe if I show it like this, it's going to be easier. The first 1, 2, 3. And I think I was maybe midway through the 4th, something like that. So I completed the 4th stripe, this one. And I did another one and another one. So I did a lot of progress. It takes me about an hour to do one square. A bit less than 30 minutes per triangle. And I love it. The main color is Filcolana Peruvian in charcoal. So it's a very dark gray. It's not black. It's just, yeah, this is black. This is gray. Because I just love dark main colors. And all the other colors are my non-squash fingering to DK weight leftovers. So it's kind of a memory blanket of all my past projects, and it makes me super happy. And yeah, that's it. I don't have much to say. Oh, maybe I can show you. You can see the little markers. Here I have 1, 2. So I work in stripes from the bottom to the top, and whenever I start a new ball, so here for example, I put a marker, a new ball of main color, and then I work the rest of the stripes like this, and then I start the new stripe here, and whenever I finish the ball I put another marker. That way I can keep track of how many triangles I can complete with one ball of yarn, which is totally useless because I have like 12 balls left, so I'm not running on yarn chicken or whatever, but I just find it funny to see how many triangles I can do. It's like a little bit over 6. And oh yeah, and I did a modification. I removed 6 stitches to each square. So if you're using the same yarn as me, you're not going to do 6 triangles with one ball of Filcolana Peruvian, because my squares are a bit smaller. Yeah, and that's it for this one. Now, let's talk about the thing that went horribly wrong with a pattern of mine. So it's this one. You know about it. You know what this is. This is my Patagonia Peaks Lite. So it's the DK weight version of the pattern. I have already released the Iron weight. And let me explain. It's a long story, so buckle up. Take your knitting, grab something to drink. I will take you through what happened. So first I did the Iron weight version. So the Iron weight is a lot thicker. It also uses boucle, but the fabric, the yarn I chose for the fabric is, yeah, it's quite dense. It really fills up the gaps and the stitches, and the fabric is like 3-dimensionally very thick. It's not just that it's a big oversized garment. The fabric is hefty. It has a real depth, which means with a certain amount of positive ease, the fabric is actually going to fill up a lot of the available positive ease with its own thickness. So for example, if I have like, I don't know, 20 centimeters of positive ease when I measure the outside of the garment, when I wear it, it's actually a lot less than that, because a lot of the 20 centimeters of positives are taken up by the fabric, so it's more like 15 centimeters. I don't know, I'm making up numbers, but it's, yeah, you get the logic. With the decay weight version, you don't have as much of a thick fabric. So what happened is that when I graded the decay weight version, I took the numbers of the iron weight, I mean the grading sheet I use for the math and calculations, and I took the same numbers, and then I just changed the gauge, and then I adjusted everything that needed to be adjusted for the color work, and then everything. It's a very complicated pattern, it's quite difficult to grade, but yeah, I did that by using the positivist numbers of the iron weight. Which was a mistake, because I forgot to take into consideration that the fabric is not the same thickness, so it just doesn't work that way. Yeah, so now let me tell you the consequences of this issue in a chronological order. So when I finished it, this one, and I tried it on, it was fitting me okay. The back was absolutely perfect, exactly what I had in mind, but I think you can maybe remember there is a podcast episode where I was wearing this, and you can see me being absolutely delulu and trying to convince you and myself that the fact that there was a bit too much fabric in the front here was because of my weird shaping, and that it was not going to happen in the final pattern. The thing is, it was going to happen for you if you have straight sizing, but for me it was only happening in the front because my back is larger. So the problem is that the yoke, the shoulder width, so from this point, from this shoulder seam to this shoulder seam, was way too wide. But since my back is a lot wider than my front, this is size 2, and I didn't do any modifications to it. And the size 2 was fitting me perfectly on the back, because my back is wider. But on the front it was too big. But if you are not like me and you have normal sizing, your back and your front are the same size, so it's going to be just as big on the back and on the front. But it kind of got me thinking, and I was like, I was feeling something was off. And it wasn't bothering me as much on me because the back was fitting me perfectly. So I could sense something was off, but I couldn't really put my finger onto it. I didn't really know exactly what was happening. I just felt like, why is it so big on the front? Why is this happening? Then I asked in the group chat of the testing group, I asked, how do you find the width of the shoulder? Do you think they're a bit too wide? And it was the beginning of the test. It was maybe 2 or 3 weeks into the test. And the few people who had completed the yoke told me it was fine. It was oversized and dropping a little bit, but they liked it that way. The thing I didn't consider is that the fit is not the same when you don't have the weight of the whole garment weighing on the shoulders. It really, it's kind of fitting like a drop shoulder, and it really pulls on the fabric. And that's when the shoulder really drops down. Plus, I think none of them had blocked it yet, and garter stitch really changes with blocking. It was just a bit too early, and people couldn't really, they are not in my head, and they didn't know what I envisioned. So even if they told me they liked it, it wasn't necessarily what I wanted this pattern to be, which is not the same. And since this is my pattern, I should listen to me. But since they told me what I wanted to hear, which is, oh, the fit is fine, I was like, it's okay, it's gonna be all right. Then we did the photo shoot. With my friend, so my photographer Alexia, and with my friend Anna, which models a lot of my knits because we have kind of similar sizing, except she has a lot narrower shoulder than mine. She's smaller than me. And when I put this on her, the shoulders were dropping so low, and I was like, oh my god, what's happening? Of course, because she doesn't have a massive back like I do, so it was fitting on her like it would on everyone that has a normal size 2. And even though my bust is size 2, my shoulders are not. So the fact that the yoke was too wide wasn't really obvious on me because I was kind of filling it up. But on her, I was like, this is absolutely not what I wanted. So I spent the whole photo shoot trying to readjust the shoulder on her so that it didn't drop too low. So I kind of saved it in the picture. But there is one picture, which is the one I wanted to use as the front page of the pattern. And you can see the shoulder that's visible towards the front. The shoulder is aligned exactly, the shoulder seam is aligned exactly with her shoulder. But if you look at the one in the back, it's like dropping so low because I didn't adjust that one. So that's how it was actually fitting if I didn't mess around with trying to pull the shoulder up. And that's not what I wanted at all, because the problem is that, so with the way this is constructed, this is actually a satin sleeve, because you have here a lot of decreases. This is knit bottom up, the rest is knit top down, but this part in garter stitch is knit bottom up. So you do decreases, and then here you have a little bit of a sleeve cap, and this is actually flat. So you have decreases, okay, that's going to be impossible to show. You have decreases up until that point, and then this is flat. So this is how an actual set-in sleeve is shaped. But if you have a set-in sleeve that drops down the shoulder, you have a happening here, and it looks really bad. I mean, I don't like it, and that's not what I wanted. And it was also kind of depending on the yarn, because with the yarn I used, it was kind of like superwash, so a bit droopy and not really sticking to itself in the way a non-superwash yarn would. So the testers who use the yarn that have a bit more like body and density and that just hung onto itself in a better way and kept its shape in a better way didn't have as much as an issue as I did. I think that's why some of them didn't really notice the issue. But then a friend who's testing the pattern, Leah, she reached out and she was like, Maya, there's really something wrong with the shoulders because it's doing the and I really don't like that. And I'm like, yeah, of course I get it. I don't like it either. And that's when I really, I had to admit that something was really wrong with the grading. And I actually had to start over. I couldn't really, I couldn't be at peace with myself and be proud of my work if I just let this problem go like this, because it was just not okay. It was just not what I had in mind, not what I envisioned. And every time I was seeing a picture of a tester or whatever trying on their work and I could see this thing happening, I was like, oh, I don't like it. It's not what I want. So I finally had to stop being delusional and accept that something had to be done. But at this point, we were already halfway through the test, which meant if I wanted to regrade the pattern, testers would have to start over or make another one, and then I would have to extend the test deadline, of course, which meant I had to push back the release, which meant it was a summer release because the initial releasing date was beginning of April. And I pushed it by 6 weeks, which makes it end of May. And that's summer. So I'm gonna release this big colorwork, heavy garment in the summer. But it's okay because for half of the world it's the winter. So yeah, it's for you guys in the southern hemisphere. Yeah, anyway, so when I took the decision to regrade the thing, so I wrote everything in the group chat, I explained the thought process and everything. Everyone was so nice, so comprehensive and so, supportive, and I just felt so privileged because I was so scared people would be angry at me because this is so much work and I felt so dumb having done such silly mistakes. And the thing is, so in the grading, in my grading sheet, I take for example, the cross front measurement and I add a certain amount of ease, and I had plus 10 centimeters, that's 4 inches. And I could just see in my sample and in the pictures that people sent me, there was just 10 too many centimeters. I just didn't need any ease. I mean, any added dimension to the cross front. I just needed the exact number so that the shoulder seam would sit exactly in front of the shoulders, of course. But I just didn't think the thickness of the fabric would make such a difference, because in the Iron Weight version, so my sample is in size 3, and it is definitely a bit more of a oversized cozy fit because this is size 2. But with the Iron Weight version, it just works. It's just okay with having such wide shoulders because of the density of the fabric, because of the size of the stitches, because the way the construction works. Yeah, it just works better with the thicker yarn. And I just didn't see that coming. But I guess you live and you learn. So the initial idea was to just make the shoulders a bit narrower. So I wanted to remove stitches here so that I wouldn't have to regrade everything, regrade the sleeve decreases and the neckline shaping, because you have short rows here as well on the back and on the front. I just wanted to make it easy, but then I realized the gauge is not okay either. Because it's just a little bit too flimsy, it's just not strong enough. And that's part of the problem that didn't help when the shoulder is just not, it doesn't have enough integrity to stay up, and it was just dropping even lower under its own weight. So there is a little bit the 5 centimeters extra that I added but it was dropping up even more than that because the fabric was too thin, not strong enough. So I also had to change the gauge. And that changed the pattern completely, of course, because this is color work and the motif is pretty big, so I am tied to the size of the motif to determine the full bust circumference. So I made the gauge smaller for the garter and for the color work. I just felt like it was necessary. And I just, at this point, I didn't want it to like not do a modification that I could feel deep inside was necessary, just because I got lazy or because I was ashamed of having to admit to my testers that even the gauge is gonna change because I messed up so bad. So I was like, I'm just gonna do things like the right way until the end, even if I look like a fool, it's okay. I'm gonna survive. So I also changed the gauge. Also, the reason I went with this gauge to begin with is really silly. It's because I looked up at what other designers had done with this type of yarn. So it's a pretty like standard yarn. It's a DK weight, bouclé, 100% merino, hand-dyed, and there's a lot of hand dyer that carry this base, and I looked up at what other designers had done, and they all used 4mm needles, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna use 4mm, and I swatched, and the fabric was beautiful, but nobody who used this yarn did something with such heavy color work on the bottom, with garter stitch, so in my case, it just didn't work, and I should have thought, I should have challenged the why did other people do things this way and why should I do the same, or maybe why I shouldn't. And I should have thought about it, but I didn't. Yeah, anyway, I don't do everything right on the first try. I try my best, but yeah, sometimes I make mistakes too. I mean, of course, I make mistakes too, whatever. So I changed the gauge. So the number of pattern repeats I had on the body is set. I need to have an even number, and I had like, I don't know, 20 pattern repeats for size X, but since the gauge got smaller, then size X got smaller. So the size range all got shifted towards the smaller side, which meant the biggest size wasn't big enough to be size inclusive, and the smaller size, which was already really small in the initial pattern, got really, really small, like 8 years old size, which was, yeah, not what I wanted. This is not a kid's pattern, it's an adult pattern. Some adults are sized like teenagers, and it's perfectly okay to be very small. It's like, yeah, people are big, people are small, it's okay. But then the biggest size wasn't big enough, so I decided to shift the whole sizing from one size toward the bigger sizes. Yeah. So the testers who had initially applied for like size 2, size 6, size whatever, they were not in the right size anymore because everything changed, the whole sizing changed. So it was getting so complicated, and yeah, every time I had to make a decision, I was like, oh my god, I'm just making life so complicated for everyone. I'm so sorry. And I felt so bad. But yeah, my testers have been absolutely adorable, really trying to like support me and be nice with me and tell me that they understand and they are appreciative that I put so much effort to help them out in this whole thing. But I also have no way to know what the testers who haven't said anything think, so maybe some of them think I'm pretty stupid. I don't know. Most of the testers agreed to either start over, or just they hadn't started yet, or to knit a second sample. So all the sizes I had originally filled up still have someone testing them, except 2. I think there's size 1, the new size 1, because the person that was knitting it is not going to start over. And the person that was knitting size 7 went up to a size 8. So I don't have anyone for size 1 and size 7. So if you'd like to apply for them, you can. But also it's pretty normal. I mean, I always put out patterns with some sizes that haven't been tested. So if they don't have any testers, it's not the end of the world. I just really wanted people for the middle range sizes, like the most usual sizes. That's the most important. So if I didn't have anyone for size 2 or 3, I would have done a public test call. But yeah, if it's size 1 and 7, it's fine. Anyway, since this is now a summer release, I figured maybe I should knit up a summer version. Because when people agreed to like make a second version or start over, a lot of the testers were like, I'm gonna make a summer version and use a more summery yarn, like a lighter yarn, not a heavy wool for the cold season, which felt like a brilliant idea, and it kind of grew on me, and I was like, I should also make another version, right? Maybe I could also do a summer version. And I thought long and hard about what kind of yarn would be perfect for that, And it's kind of tricky because there is color work and there is garter, and you want, as I mentioned, you want a yarn that has kind of texture and has a little bit of a grip so that the garter doesn't just stretch out of shape immediately, and so that the color work is nice and even. So I don't particularly recommend like 100% linen or 100% cotton or just 100% plant fiber in general. Do what you want if you want to, but it's just not what I recommend. And I was trying to find a yarn that would have all those characteristics, like be preferably non-spore wash, have a little bit of texture but still be super soft and have a bit of like a summery fiber component to it. And that's when it struck me. One of my favorite yarns ever is Candide by De Rerum Natura. And there is a roasted weight version, which is called Robinson. It's a beautiful yarn. I really love it. It's like super soft and it has exactly all those characteristics. It's merino cotton, it's non-spore wash, it's textured but it's also extremely soft. It's perfect for color work, it's perfect for garter, it's perfect for everything. So I was like, I'm gonna use that. And then I was also thinking that I really wanted to support my testers that so nicely agreed to make a second sample, or just in general put up with my chaos that I was throwing at them every day. I was like, yeah, it's just gonna change a little bit, don't worry. And then, oh no, actually it's gonna change a lot. And then it was like, yeah, the gauge is gonna change too, and oh, all the sizes are gonna be shifting. Yeah, it went further and further away in the chaos. So I really wanted to support them for supporting me. So I reached out to De Rerum Natura and asked them if they would be willing to share a coupon code for the testers if they wanted to buy this yarn to make another sample. And they so kindly agreed to give me a coupon code just for the testers, so I'm not going to share it with you. And it was very kind of them because they usually only give those coupon codes if the design is made with the yarn in question, which totally makes sense. And it was not the case of this one, so it was very nice of them to agree of that. And it kind of convinced me. I mean, I kind of knew I wanted to make another sample with this yarn, but I wasn't 100% sure. But then they agreed to give the coupon code, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it, just to support them, and they were super nice to me. So I decided to buy some yarn. So this one I actually didn't buy from them. I bought that at my local yarn shop, not the one I'm always talking about, another one. And this was on sale. I think she's clearing out because the yarn is not really selling well, which is such a shame because it's so beautiful. If you haven't tried this and you're looking for a yarn for a summer garment, this is amazing, like really amazing. Anyway, it's the, Robinson, as I told you. And as you can see, it's a beautiful pastel palette. I'm finally making a pastel version of the Patagonia Peaks. I've been dreaming about it for so long, but pastels are absolutely not my colors, but I don't care. So those are my 4 colors. This one I already had. And so this is Nougat. This one is Muscari. It's like purple, a mix of a purple and blue. This one is Loutre. It's a medium cold brown, I would say. And this one is Sirène. So Muscari, I think it's a type of grape, if I'm not mistaken. This Loutre, it's otter, and Sirène, it's mermaid in French. Yeah, I was saying I bought these at my local yarn shop because they were on sale, but she didn't have enough and not in all the colors I wanted, like she didn't have this one. So I ordered the rest on De Rerum Natura's website, and I didn't use the coupon code because it was for the testers, not for me. So I'm still waiting on that to arrive, but yeah, I have my yarn. This is my acquisition. I'm gonna cast it on immediately. And I'm super excited, but I'm also kind of bummed that this happened and I had to push back the release, but it's okay. I think once it's done, I'm gonna be so proud and relieved I have taken this difficult decision, because yeah, it just really would have bothered me if I let the situation as it was and I released the pattern that way, and every time I would have seen a finished object picture and I could see the shoulder dropping and the happening here. Yeah, I just wouldn't be happy. So I'm glad I did that, but it was a difficult decision. So yeah, anyway, that's the whole story about the Patagonia Peaks. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I think it's all I wanted to say. No, one more thing. It's something I showed a few videos ago because I did a spinning vlog, and I haven't shown the yarn here because not everyone watches my spinning vlogs. And I just wanted to show you my beautiful handspun skein. Can you believe this is handspun? And it's my third spinning project. And it's a 3-ply. And it's sport weight. It's a braid that was hand-dyed for me by a viewer, Nora. And it's a mix of rambouillet and silk. It has a beautiful drape. I'm not gonna unravel it because the skin is perfect. And I have like, 350 meters, it's 100 grams. So sport weight. And I initially wanted to make socks out of it, but then I realized it has such a beautiful drape, and I wanted DK weight socks, and this is sport weight. So I figured it would be a bit wasteful to use this for socks since it had a lot of drape, and it would be much better suited for a summer top. So I'm gonna do another summer top. I could actually make this vest, although I don't think I have enough. No, one skein is not enough, but I can do something else. I actually have an idea in mind, and it's gonna be so gorgeous. So yeah, it's not really an acquisition, but this new yarn that made it into my stash that I handspun. And if you haven't seen the spinning vlog, I encourage you, go and watch it. I know you won't, but it's okay. I still love doing them, and I'm still very proud of them, even if nobody watches them. Anyway, this time, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Next time we're gonna see each other. Maybe it will be next week, but maybe not, because the video schedule is going to be a bit complicated at the end of the month because I'm leaving on holidays at the beginning of April, and at the end of March there is the Swiss Yarn Festival. So I would like to make a vlog about that. I feel extremely self-conscious about filming myself or just filming stuff in general when I'm in public, but I'm going to be a big girl and I will try my best to make it happen because I really want to show you this festival. I mean, more than just a picture here and there. So I would like to have that, and I also want to film the spring knitting plans because winter is almost over. And I also have the March stash update. So yeah, that's a lot of things to film before I go out on holidays. So I don't know if I'm gonna do something next week. Maybe another podcast if I finish all my summer tops and I cast on the Patagonia or stuff. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. So we'll maybe see each other next week, maybe not. In any case, you can subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future content from me. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your comments, as always. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for being here. Thank you to my testers of the Patagonia Peaks. If you are here and watching this, thank you so much. Thank you for existing. Thank you for being so nice to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you again next time. Happy knitting. I love you, especially if you're a tester. Bye.